Yeah, Monday morning, beautiful day, gorgeous. Right, a good weekend as well. Right, so these are the shelves from Friday night. They've all, I ordered them on Friday night. They look so much better now. They look lovely. And then I've just come in this morning, quickly run out a little bit of softwood, just put a couple of edges on them because I'm going back to that guy's house where I've done the boot room, and I'm going to put a face fix sliding door on his downstairs WC. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to film it because there's a lot of people about. He's got like an office in the house where he works from. Probably people want to use toilets to be fair as well, but anyway. Run that out. I'm just going to quickly nip that up to the paint room, get a coat of Zinseer on it. That'll dry in 30 minutes anyway. I'll nip to his house. I'll just make a start on it. I've got the other little bits to finish, like the shelves and that. So, yeah, and I'll come back and I might update, I might not, because can I film it? I don't know. I've got to talk to him if he's got staff and that there. But, yeah, if not, speak to you in a bit. Day didn't really go to plan. It's 5 o'clock now. It has been a lovely day for weather, to be fair, but yeah, just one of those jobs where it's not almost worth really. There's nowhere to set up. You have to set up on the driveway and you're constantly backwards and forwards. Even if I'd have put a tool belt, I haven't worn a tool belt in a long time. Even if I'd have put a tool belt on, I'd have been banging off stuff because I'm in doorways all the time. So what I didn't film was the fact I finished the boot room, but I just, as nice as the customers are, they're absolutely sterling people. They really are. They just love to chat, and I like to chat, so I just spend all my time chatting. So I just didn't even get a chance to finish film the boot room. Well, I mean, to be honest, you've seen it finished anyway. It's just the trims and the shelves and the rails, but yeah, that didn't take too long. That door just took forever though. Absolutely took forever. Those sliding doors, normally I do quite a few of those. Normally I just get them done within like an hour, 2 hours max. They're pretty straightforward to do. You just got to chop out and put that piece of timber in the top, because the only thing is sometimes the doors, like that's like a 37 kilo door, so if you don't put timber at the top, you're not guaranteed that each one of those bars is on such a solid a fixing that it's not gonna like go over time, pull out the wall over time. And also, like, it's quite a lot of weight then digging into just plaster, which will just, soft, isn't it, plaster? So yeah, the timber just sort of spreads the weight onto the plaster. So yeah, it just doesn't normally take that long, but it did. Yeah, but it's done. So tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll go get loads of tulip wood again, because I'm going to start making that utility. We're going to start making, it's not, well, are we calling it a utility? What are we calling it? What should I call that job? Laundry chute job. Yeah, I'm going to do the laundry chute job. Yeah, it's a drying room. That's what it is. It's a drying room. I'm going to do the drying room. It's quite a big job actually, because I've got to do the other side of the room as well. It's quite a lot of doors to make and stuff like that. So I've got to finish the drawing tonight and send that over just to get approved and give all the electrical positions for the electrician who's going in there this week. I'll just start making the cupboards. Yeah, be a big one, but yeah, just got to jump on with it really. Right, I'll see you in the morning. Some timber, some tulip wood, which I'll show you now. In there, ready for the scullery, but I'm doing just thought, because it's near the skate park, I thought I'd go there, but little pump track there, but there's loads of kids on it. It's not even half term, don't know what they're doing, but yeah, anyway, to the workshop now, and yeah, I'll update you when I get in there. Right, okay, little update for you. It is about midday now. I had like a little plan that I was gonna basically do like a little montage of me unloading the van, and which I did this film, and just start working on it, start processing this tulip wood. I'll show you it. So this is the tulip wood that I picked up this morning, and basically that's for the scullery, which week one I went in with the laundry chute. I'll try and put an image on the screen. Actually, I need to do that this week. Yeah, that's the scullery that I'm making, which I start making this week basically. But I sent over because I went to go visit her, last week, just to confirm things, and there's a couple of changes, which is, again, it's just always happens. It's when you bespoke, people make changes, and actually the changes that the ladies made are definitely for the better. So I redrew those, but I couldn't redraw them until the lady sent me the basket sizes over, and it's just some bits of information. And then it's not a 5-minute job for me to redraw it. Anyway, I redrew it finally yesterday because I was away at the weekend, and sent it over last night, kind of hoping that she'd just get it, because she was waiting for it. She was waiting Sunday and Monday for it, thinking she'd get it and go, yep, okay, or no, and I can go and see her. But she hadn't replied. I went and picked up the timber, and I thought, do I just ring her? In the end, I'm not far from her, so I drove back in and called in on her. That's why I killed a bit of time going to the skate park as well. But yeah, so I went and checked in on her, thinking, worst case scenario, I don't expect her to be there. Worst case scenario, I'll just come back and just start machining stuff. It's stuff I can do. But the reality is, I've just worked out it's too risky to do anything. Even though I could over machine stuff and then re-trim it later, that's just not cost effective for me. But it's better than doing nothing. But I think I've messaged her now and just said, look, maybe can we meet later today? I've spoken to her. It's no one's fault other than my own, really. So I'm just going to go home, I think. And I've got a couple of drawings I've got to do for people, so I'm just going to do those. Wednesday morning, better start today, I think, really, already. So I met the lady last night. Moved off the old fence. Yeah, I met the lady last night. I wanted to meet her yesterday afternoon, but unfortunately, kids and stuff and just timings, couldn't get her to work. But anyway, met her last night, went through it all. At some point I will put the picture up on the screen. Hello. She completely okayed everything. Seems more than happy. So I did a quick drawing of what I need to cut today, and I've now put that onto a cut list, just in my little notepad, really. And then if you see there, I've got A, B, C's, D's, E's, F's, la-di-da-di-da-di, so I was just doing my lace up. So then what I do is I go through all my timber piles, and I bookmark these as A's, because I know that by the time I cut those down to my length and half them, I'll have something decent left to thickness and plane. Then if I've got multiple cuts in one board, like this one's C, so I'll do 3 C's, because I know I'm going to cut that 3 times. And then if I know that it's going to actually be cut in half, it'll be cut, I'll do it on both sides of the board. And then sometimes if I've got loads and loads of cuts going on, I'll actually do the dividing lines. It's not that clear really for me to sort of describe. Measure twice, cut once, I guess. But the reality is everything's overdone, because you get a thing on a thickness and planer called snipe, which is basically where you get like a small little dip at the start and the end of every board as it feeds in and feeds out. You don't always get it, but it can happen. It can, and as good as you are with a thickness or planer, it will always happen when you don't want it to. Sometimes I've run boards through and they've come out, beautifully. It's just the angle that it goes in at, really. And then that second you think, oh, I've got to plane another mill off, I'll make sure I really get that angle just right as I go in. Second you think that, for some reason, you always just get a bit of extra snipe. So yeah, we're always doing stuff along just to eliminate that. And then also we want to be cutting a bit nearer to accuracy, nearer the time. Anyway, what I'm going to do, other than waffle on, I think, is set you up just with a couple of different shots of what I'm doing throughout the day. yeah, then I'm just going to stop for a bite to eat. So I thought I'd just, yeah, show you the pile really. That's one pile, and then that's another pile. So essentially these are rails and stiles, these are frames, and then there's a bit of extra there. There's actually some extra over here as well, which I shall soon want. You can see I've had the hand plane out as well, just purely because you'll get the odd edge that just wants addressing before you either run it through the panel saw or well, do anything with it really. And you're better off just sort of, really we're working by eye at the moment. You know, like I'm looking at some of my boards, like that one's up there because I'm going to reject that one. So I'm going to pick one out of here and cut that to that size and then hope I can use that elsewhere. Yeah, and we're just looking at things by eye, sort of, you know, making sure that we can work with what we've got. I said earlier about cutting stuff down before you thickness plane it, so that you're not having to thickness plane a great long length and it be too much deviation. That's true, except for like, say like this instance here, this will actually be 4 boards, 4 rails. So there's no point me cutting it into 4 now. I've got 3 of them, so that's 12. There's no point me having 12 pieces of timber to pass through the thickness planer when I can just do it in 3. So that you've got to meet in the middle. You've got to look at each, unfortunately, that's what's time consuming. You've got to look at each instance, each section of timber, and see what each section of timber is doing, and then decide based on how the timber is and where it's going what you need to do with it, and then try and systemize that and put that within your process. But that is really where the skill is, I guess, that, and then just learning the mechanics of the machines. Right, I'm going to have a bite to eat and then I'll probably update you on the fitness of planer, and hopefully have all this machine by the end of the day. That'd be lovely. Right, speak to you in a little bit. Morning, Thursday morning. Yeah, this is what I got left with yesterday. So everything is thickness and plane now, but it does need then cutting to width, because if we try and cut it all to width in the first time round, this isn't flat. So when you run it on the panel saw or band saw, whatever you want to use, it'll be sitting uneven. So as it passes through, you won't be getting a straight edge, if you like, which is what happens when I first take the edge off. It's not 100% straight. So I then redo that on the planer. Basically my goal by the end of the day, because I've only got a set amount of clamps and space, my goal by the end of the day is to make the bifolding doors. which are on the other side of the room, to make those. I've got a delivery coming today as well for the panels, so I'll get those made, and they're all the same size, so I can utilise a certain amount of clamps for those, and stack them up as long as I make them exactly. And I might make the smaller doors as well, but I'm a bit late because I made a change to the drawing. So basically, the smaller door next to where the baskets are going in the open shelving bit, I've now made taller, because the bin and the iron, she wants like a pull-out iron shelf and a pull-out bin in there. Now I can just make a shelf and put a bin on it, but I'd rather use a system for the bin that I can buy, because I know that it will take the door at a good point, a midpoint, and it will make the whole thing stronger. So I'm going to have to buy a pre-made, like, you know, soft close pull-out bin. And then that means by the time that finishes, there's not enough height for the iron. So I'm going to have to utilise the whole of the 900 underneath the worktop. And it won't match handmade kitchen, so it will actually look quite quirky having the odd door. And I might redraw it and put it in the vid actually, so you get a visual of what it's like. Right, I'm going to jump on with it then, and I don't know what I'll do. Will I update you? I don't know. I will update you. Will I film it? Yeah, probably will film it on the day. What I've got here is I've got enough timber to do the bottom rails of the 5 tall doors. And if you look at the drawing, all my double doors I tend to do, tall doors, sorry, I tend to do with double rails that are double size. Sometimes I make the bottom one a little bit bigger and the middle one a little bit smaller, but they're normally roughly about double the size of the stiles. So that's not really a problem, because you just get your stile material and you glue and clamp 2 together. Now I need 35 for the 5 doors, glue and clamp together. Sort of spotted I was running low, so before I machined all my stiles up, I basically put myself in a situation where I worked out how much framing I'd got left over, and I basically reduced this down so that when you add it to the framing, it equals 2 of these. Just so I didn't have to machine load it up. Now I'm at a point where I've got to get ahead of myself for tomorrow, rather than trying to, because you can't assemble the doors without these made, obviously. And it's tempting sometimes. I've got some wide boards to do them in wider board, but there's more likely for them to cup and twist. So it's just good practice to orientate the grain, the growth rings, and glue and clamp 2 pieces together, although it is extra work. So what I've done here is I've just laid it out rough, and we number them 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 1 and 1, and we've just pencil marked, you know, again here this little bit on the long side, because I've got this snipe just here that I spoke about the other day. I've got to eliminate that. That's why I think slightly oversized. And basically the idea of marking these out now is I can nip these over to the panel saw, cut those down, and then I can lay them on it, and I can mark where my dominoes are going to hold it all together. Now the reason we want to do that is because what you don't want to do is be in a situation, I have done it, is where you're cutting your dominoes off after you've glued them in. I suppose it wouldn't really matter in this instance because they'd be gone off by then. I'd be cutting them off and then remachine them in to be the joint for the Rowland style doors, but it's just good practice to try and miss them really. Yeah, so I just thought I'd update you on exactly what I'm doing there, and really it becomes a bit of a slower process because of it, because, you know, as I say, I could just do these in wide boards. I've got plenty of wide tulip left over, but then the danger is then they're going to start warping and cupping and twisting over time. So it's more stable if you sort of take two boards like these and alternate the growth rings, glue and clamp them up. Right, so I'm going to jump on with that, and then what I'm going to do once I've done that, I guess once I've got all these glued and clamped up, I've got to glue up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10. 5 doors. That was round maths, was it? I've got to glue and clamp up 10. I'm actually probably going to leave these full length when I clamp them, but just so I can save space on clamps. And then I'll probably machine the bifold doors. A little bit out of sync, but the spindle moulder is kind of purposely always set up just for doing grooving, so I can probably just drop on and off grooving the doors. My panels came this morning for the insides of the shakers. So yeah, I think by the end of the day, I think we'll have these glued and clamped up, and then I think we'll have the 4 bifolding doors. I think we'll have those made as well. I've just got to do a quick dim check on how big the bifolding track's going to be. I haven't bought it yet. Good morning. It is Friday again. Right, I was filming yesterday and just before the end of the day, and I had to go get the kids and the data ran out, so I had to scrap the video unfortunately. But yeah, this is all I did in the end. Got 2 doors done. I set myself a target of having 4 doors done, and really I wanted more. So now I've got another 2 to do that on the bench, plus that other pile of wood. That's really going to mess me about, because what I'd like to be doing is sort of those blanks I made yesterday, de-snotting those, cutting those for the rails, and then I'd like to get all my other rails cut. Maybe my frames made first, that's the right way around to do it. Then get all the rails cut, then get all the doors through the spindle moulder in one go, get all the panels cut in one go. Then I've got a full load to glue up, but I haven't got the room or the clamps to do that. So I'm going to have to, well, I could, but it'd just be a mess. So basically I'm going to have to do it in batches, which means I'm going to have to do bits here, then bits there. So I'm going to have to do so many rails for how many doors I want to clamp, so many panels, do them as quick as possible, and then while they're going off in the clamps, do as much as I can on the next batch of doors, hopefully get it down to 2 batches, because as long as they're clamped for a couple of hours, they can then just sit on the bench. That'll be fine. Yeah, we'll see how we go anyway. I'll see what I know what I'm going to film today. I might show you how I do the tenons on the loose tenons on the cabinet doors, my system. But yeah, I'll speak to you in a little bit anyway. Yeah, it's a mess. I've had to dump all my shavings here because I've run out of tubs. I've got shavings everywhere. I've got them all up here because I just want to put a log burner in there. I just haven't got round to it. A bit deflated actually. Right, but I'll get going on it. Put some jams on and get going. Right, speak to you in a little bit. Right then, I thought I'd just take you through a sort of semi-real time, it's a little bit edited, how I put the shaker style doors together. A small bit of controversy here. Some people don't think you should be gluing the joins, but as long as you're not using a solid wood panel, which is likely to split, if you're using like an engineered product and using decent timber like I am, there's no issue. You know, these doors, they're not massive. They're not 4 or 5 panels in a row. You're not going to get any movement there that's going to equate to much. So yeah, you spread the glue inside the groove. And then this is where I do it slightly different. There's a lot of people out there that do it this way, and obviously I've got it off somebody. It's the loose tenon method. I've done the rail and style joint, so you see I'm putting the loose tenons in there. I've machined these out of tulip, and you just leave a little bit of wiggle room so the glue connects, but you've got a decent friction finish so the door holds together before you clamp it. Yeah, and then the panel again, that slides in. You've noticed there I've got a few pencil marks where the rails stop and start. So this is really the messiest bit with this system, this bit here, because I like to coat the rails complete in one go. Get the glue inside the grooves. You've got to smear that inside the grooves, and then it does get a bit drippy, for want of a better word, but then we can connect them to our pencil lines. And then once you've got them on your pencil lines, really you do want to offer a square on, because the reality is, even though your timber's square cut, it can be sitting slightly off on the glue. So tap out, you'll see there actually, I haven't quite got that to the pencil line. I leave about 1 millimetre on the tenons and the panel, and I've obviously placed that in slightly off at the other end. So yeah, up on its end, just bang it down basically. You know, the glue will help it slide at this point. You can see how sort of quick you work, and you ideally want a door done in 5 minutes before the glue starts tacking. Yeah, so you get your squish, who I was talking about, get your square on. Just check that rail is square, because your next step is putting that style on. And again, you've got the pencil marks you want to line up. So you don't really want to get this bit wrong, or too far wrong. At this point here, you want to be working within 1 mil, maybe 2 millimeters max. Because then that's where your fine adjustment is. You can just tap it around with a mallet. You see I use the mallet edge on. And yeah, really, this is the bit where once you get one bit right, the rest will just fly. And then I just wipe the glue off wet, just so I don't get it all over my bench. I will do sometimes if I'm not doing too many doors, I'm not stacking them up, I'll leave the glue to dry completely and I'll scrape it off. I do find you get a better finish that way if you scrape it off. But yeah, the loose tenon method, I mean, I've done the rail and style joints. I've had them set up on a router table. I've had them set up on a spindle moulder. It's a lot of extra work for not a lot of game. Maybe if you've got 2 machines, I'm guessing that's really where it comes from. But if you've just got the one machine like I have, I've got one spindle moulder set up. It's constantly set up to do essentially grooving, and then I've always got a setup. I've always got a thicknesser planer. I've actually got 2 thicknesser planers. I do keep one just to one side, little benchtop one, just for machining really small bits, so I don't have to alter what I'm doing if I'm halfway through a job. But yeah, it's just a lot quicker, a lot easier. And the other beauty of it, which not a lot of people really discuss, is the fact that your rails are all cut the exact size of your doors, so your maths is a lot easier. Really quick video. I've got these bits of tulip wood that were glued and jointed earlier. This is a bit that's not got a domino on, and then I've got another bit here that I've cut in half with the dominoes. You can see the dominoes going through. A lot of people will say that dominoes are only for alignment, not for strength. And I thought, what a good way to test. And actually, it makes no difference. They are just for alignment, which is something that not a lot of people understand. But essentially it's just a biscuit joint. It's just alignment. The advantage of a domino being the XL, the big one, when you're doing doors, that is for strength, because they are genuinely decent size loose tenons. Anyway, got these doors glued up, got a load over here as well, really, and a load over there. Really really got a mess in here and really using the dregs of the clamps. I was going to do it in 2 goes, as I said this morning, but then I just thought I like the idea of them being clamped up overnight. So I've got ratchet straps around some of those as well, just to really aid in a bit the clamping process. Right, I'm going home. A good night. Hopefully this is a good week. Last week was crap. I watched it. It was awful. But hopefully this week's a good one. It is hard, you know. Bear with me. All right, see you later. Like and bloody subscribe.